Well, after shooting blanks for two straight Olympics, the Indian shooters have finally hit the target. Well, at least one of them has. Manu Bhaker has made history today after becoming India's first medalist of the Paris Olympic Games. And not just that, she's also become the first woman shooter from India ever to win an Olympic medal. She joins a very, very small club which only had four men before her. Men of names like Abhinav Bindra, Gagan Narang, who's currently in Paris as the chef de mission of the whole contingent, Vijay Kumar, and Colonel Rajavardhan Singh Rathore, who's gone on to become a sports minister. So clearly, 22-year-old Manu Bhaker has joined a very, very elusive club. On that note, the second episode of Pod of the Rings podcast is live. This is me, your host, Amit Kamath. Joining me as always is Mihir Vasavda, who's, I think, found one very tiny sliver of a window of conversational opportunity between his travels from, I think, that village that he called a Chota Sa village by Indian standards yesterday, but that Chota Sa village by Indian standards has given us massive happiness today. So we have Mihir with us, and we'll also bring in our colleague Vinayakk Mohanarangan, who's been indefatigable with the live blog. But before I come to Vinayakk, Mihir, you were there when Manu won the medal. What was that like? And I mean, you, somebody who's gone to the Tokyo shooting ranges out of the city, sab dekha, experience kiya, heartbreak kaisa hota hai, and now finally, matlab, you've also seen Manu ka incident there, and now you've finally seen Manu winning a medal. Can you just talk to us about what today was like for you?
So we didn't really have to wait long for a medal. In Tokyo, Amit will remember first day पर ही आ गया था. इस बार first day पे थोड़ा सा disappointment था, but then Manu actually lived up to the expectations pretty well. What a solid performance and incredible atmosphere. I just overheard actually a few volunteers and the officials at the venue saying that this particular event, the 10-meter women's pistol event, had the best atmosphere of all the finals that had in the first 2 days, and that's largely because the two contingents, South Korea and India, had the most vocal fans, so to say. South Korea had actually their teammates cheering for them, but India legit had fans traveling, which actually really added to the atmosphere. They were cheering her every shot, and Manu actually gave them plenty of reasons to cheer for as well. It could have been better if we have to put it that way, but we are also being greedy over here. यहाँ पर एक तरीके से देखे तो she was consistently among the medals all the time. A couple of 4 or 5 nines in the middle of the final actually kind of spoiled her chances to get a better color medal. But bronze nevertheless is quite an incredible achievement. And here we are, first medal, and hopefully it will lift this entire pressure off the Indian team, Indian contingent, and here's to many more.
Okay, but Mihir, I know you've written a lot about how the 1,000 odd days between Tokyo 2020 and Paris 2024 have been. But between these two Olympic Games, Manu has also kind of become a different person, not just a shooter. I mean, her reconciliation with Jaspal Rana, who was her coach in the lead up to the Tokyo Olympics, then they had a very public fallout, and then there was that whole unraveling of Manu Bhaker at Tokyo, if I can call it an unraveling, because there was a technical gun malfunction which kind of is going to affect you if you're a teenager at your first Olympics, and that kind of completely swept her Olympics away. But yeah, this reconciliation with Jaspal Rana, which has eventually brought us India's first medal at Paris Olympics, that shows us that Manu has matured. I mean, clearly it takes a lot sometimes to put your ego aside and start working with somebody that you've fallen out with. Mir, just talk to us about that equation and how that's kind of worked out.
What to me shows Manu's character, personality right now, and shows how much she's matured as a person and a shooter is the fact that she showed the willingness to go back to Jaspal Rana after whatever happened in 2021. In between this period, so after Tokyo till 2023 last year, she tried 4 different coaches and didn't succeed with any of them. And these were players, former players of great repute. national coaches and international coaches who were with the Indian team, and none of it worked. Her scores weren't coming, the finals weren't there, the results, though they were there, they were not the level that Manu is capable of. And for her to then realize that, it would be best in her interest to go back to Jaspal, it was incredible. She called up Jaspal herself against the will of everyone practically in her inner circle, including, I won't go into the details. I don't know if it's right. But yeah, I guess if you get the hint when I say inner circle, it includes literally everyone who is involved in her decision making scene. So for her to take that decision at the age of 21 and to stick to it, I think it is quite incredible and it paid off brilliantly for her. And you could see, Manu says that Jaspal performs some kind of a magic, and his presence is kind of reassuring for her in a way that even in the finals hall, Manu. So when she entered the final, the first thing she looked for was where Jaspal was sitting. She spotted her, went to her station, and the way she positioned herself, it was in a way that she could literally look at Jaspal whenever she needed, and she did that quite frequently. There was this eye contact constantly being made almost after every second shot. Jaspal was sitting in the stand right a couple of rows ahead of me, and he had a stop clock in one hand, and on the other phone he was following Manu's course and the groupings, basically just the assortment of all the shots that she was shooting, and they're just communicating through eyes. And whenever she looked, I won't say whatever, confused or joby, but in tense situations, she just looked at her and it calmed her down. That's the kind of relationship they shared. And moment the bronze was confirmed, Jaspal was first to kind of give her a standing ovation. He was teared up. And he left the room for, I guess, a moment of privacy. And Jaspal, we should remember, is a great shooter himself. He has been a legend of Indian shooting. Right now, totally ostracized because whatever happened in 2021 with the fight with Manu, the federation blaming him. He was shown the door as a junior team coach, even though many current Indian shooters came under his guidance when he was a coach, including Manu. And that's the reason he understands Manu so well. Like Manu was 15 years old or 16 years old when she started shooting under Jaspal, and she's 22 now. So 7 years is a long time for anyone to understand each other so well, and that's what has really worked out in Manu's favor.
Well, that's all the time we have with Mihir today because I believe he's rushing to catch another train back to his hotel room. And before we started recording, we had asked Mihir whether he fancies another trip to the Chateau shooting ranges tomorrow. And well, Mihir has kind of, I think, 2 दिन travel कर करके उसका sense of adventure थोड़ा मर गया. He's decided not to travel to the shooting ranges, but we will be focusing on the shooting anyway tomorrow in the afternoon. And the guy who's been watching a lot of shooting is with me, Vinayakk. I know you've patiently waited your turn to speak today. How has the Olympics been for you so far today, Vinayakk?
Yeah, it depends on the definition of today. It's been a long day. But since we are with shooting, we spoke about the good news with Manu winning her bronze, a superb achievement. But there was a complete heartbreak earlier in the day that we have to talk about. It was a bittersweet sort of 10-meter air rifle women's qualification where 11L Valarivan and Ramita Jindal were in action for India. And it might end up being one of the most heartbreaking stories of Paris 2024 for the Indian contingent. I mean, there is still time, but this will be at the top. When, 11L was actually shooting superbly from the word go, was even top of the qualification table at one point and was constantly within the top 8. I think her average was close to top 10.5. And in the 60-shot preliminary round, her 59th shot was 9.8. After shooting so well, after constantly being in the qualification zone, she fell out after that shot, went to the 10th place and ended up missing out on a spot in the final. If that 9.8 had been a 10.5, 10.9 is the maximum you can score with a shot in rifle. So 10.5 is not, that high at this level. If that 9.8 was a 10.5, we would have had 2 Indians in the final on Monday. That's how close and how brutal this sport is. It just boggles my mind every time I watch it. It's crazy that the margins are so small. But good news is Ramita did turn around. It was the other way around for Ramita. After a slow start, she picked up her shooting speed, and a sensational 6 series saw her come clutch. And, she needed a 10.2, if I'm not wrong, with her last shot to stay in the top 8, and she hit a 10.4. Superb showing from her. So we do have one finalist in that event. And in the men's event, Arjun Babuta also qualified. So Arjun and Ramita, we spoke about their heartbreak in the mixed team on Saturday. So both of them bounced back really well to enter the final. Both of the finals are on Monday, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. So that's the rifle aspect from today.
And just in case you guys are wondering, Ramita's event starts at, I think, 1 o'clock, and Arjun's event will start at 3:30. So by 4 o'clock afternoon today, which is when you will be listening to this, we might just have doubled, or even, let's whisper it, touch wood, all of that. We might have even tripled our medal count, because the way the finals of shooting events work is that there are 8 people in the finals. You just have to keep your nerve for a certain amount of time, and then if you sneak into the top 3, then you are assured a medal and all of that. So we'll keep an eye out for both those events. You can obviously track all of it on our live blog. But Vinayakk, I have personally seen like 11 at multiple events, but the one thing that stands out about her is that she's somebody who's she's like this ball of infectious energy that she brings to the contingent, right? Like, I remember I was at the Junior Shooting World Cup in Seoul. This was way back in 2019 in Germany. And I remember that she was somebody who would finish her events. Then she would be the loudest person in the stand, shouting, cheering, hooting at every Indian shooter there was. So we hope that she still has an event left. So maybe there is some reason for her to cheer. One of the nicest people that you will probably meet in the Indian shooting contingent. All of them are pretty nice, because sabhi to काफी young, bubbly contingent hai. But I think shooting पे हमने थोड़ा ज़्यादा बात कर लिया. Vinayakk, besides shooting, what else is there to look forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, just before we get into that, I'll quickly wrap up what else happened on Sunday. The Indian tennis competition came to end. We are recording this at 2:45 a.m. and the Bopanna Sriram Balaji doubles match just got over. And they've been ousted by a French pair, Gail Monfils and Roger Vesselin ended their tournament. Yeah. And earlier in the day, Sumit Nagal also lost a very hard-fought match against another Frenchman. The French have ended basically India's tennis campaign. Nagal went down in a very hard-fought 3-setter. That, and on the positive side of things, Sindhu and Pranoy registered fairly comfortable wins in their group stage matches. And Nikat Zareen came from behind after a slightly slow start to complete her first round win final eventually. And there was also a slightly big upset in table tennis with Sharat Kamal's campaign coming to an end against a lower ranked player. That was not expected. Singles is not something that we pin our hopes on in table tennis anyway, but that was a little disappointing result. But Manika Batra and Shrija Akula both made it to the round of 32. First time ever that India have 2 women's players in the round of 32 in table tennis at the Olympics. So that was a slight bit of good news. So that's just a quick wrap of the other stuff that went on Sunday. So yeah.
We also had that wonderful French word repechage kind of sneaking in thanks to a rower, not a wrestler this time around. Balraj Panwar has made it to the next round thanks to the repechage rounds. And the archers, obviously, the women's archery team has, I don't know, yaar, maybe let's just move on, I guess.
So I had tweeted at the end of the quarterfinal that let's just all forget that this happened. And I actually ended up forgetting, I guess. Removed it from my memory.
Oh, well done. Well, at least if you're taking your own advice, that's good.
Exactly, right. Man, that's a tough one to talk about. That's really... so, briefly, basically, India were expected to at least reach the semifinals because their quarterfinals opponents were supposed to be Netherlands or France, both lower seeded than them. But it was just a complete capitulation from especially Ankita Bhagat and Deepika Kumari. Bhajan Kaur was good pretty much throughout, but there were a couple of 6s, 7 here and there. There was a 4 from Ankita, and all came at very crucial junctures, and they didn't get going. So I really hope that they can put this behind, because all 3 of them have their individual events. Ankita has their mixed event. They need to somehow put this behind them, because it was not a day to remember. Archery is a brutal sport again, like shooting, but I don't think this was a very good performance by any measure. So yeah, hopefully they can put this behind them like we will right now and then move forward.
Okay, Vinayakk, we are running out of time because our producer Shashank is going to give us another stern sneer if we extend our time. So just one quick question. Tomorrow, plenty of shooting happening, plenty of archery, badminton. The Indian hockey team is playing. There's also table tennis. What should fans look forward to tomorrow?
So yeah, the rifle we've already spoken about, 2 big finals coming up there. There is also the mixed team pistol qualification to look forward to. Sarabjot and Manu are paired up there. I have hopes for them, so let's see how they go. Otherwise, it's mostly group stage action. The other medal event on Monday is the men's archery team, who actually did exceedingly well in the qualifications to be seeded third. They are not expected to face Korea till the final, so that's one thing that could go in their favor. They will have tough matches also, but they're in the quarterfinals and 2 wins away from a medal, so hopefully they have better fortunes than the women's team today. Other than that, there is some badminton, table tennis, and plenty of other action that you can keep track with our live blog and our tweets and whatever else that you use. There'll be features to read as well. Plenty of good features on Manu Bhaker, so please do check that out on our website. Great pieces from Nitin Sharma, Shashank, and Mihir, of course, from Paris, has been prolific with his writing, so do check that out, and I think that would be a good note to end this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is me, Amit, and my co-host Vinayakk, and our third co-host, who's somewhere right now lost somewhere in France, Mihir, saying goodbye. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow with episode 3 of Pod of the Rings, recapping day 3 of India's campaign at the Paris Olympics. Till then, goodbye, au revoir, or however you pronounce that. By the end of this pod, I'll probably get it right.
You were listening to Express Pods by the Indian Express. This week's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.